Hello students, welcome in the new part, in the new point. In the earlier point we have studied about the what happened after the October Revolution, how Bolsheviks came in a power, how they used their power we have seen in the earlier part. After getting power, the measures, the actions which taken by the Bolsheviks, whether it were approved, accepted by all, or some had went against of them, that we are going to see in this part. If some went against of it, what action these people were taken, or whether the Bolsheviks returned in power or not, that all answers we will see in this part, in this video. The first, the Civil War. The term is very different for you. War, it is a very simple, easy, familiar, but the Civil War, may you don't know. In civil war, there are no foreign countries, foreign enemies are involved. The people who involved in this struggle, who suffers through it, they all belongs from the same country, same nation, same society. May this is in between the different communities, different caste or different groups. The violence in between different communities, in different caste or different groups in one country, in a same country, that is called the civil war. So the civil war in Russia, we will see in this part. When the Bolshevik orders that land redistribution, the Russian army began to break up. When the Bolshevik ordered redistribution of the land, that time this Russian army, the people, those who are working in the army, they thought, they felt, we will get land in the villages and we can do our work, we can lead our life at home, at our villages. So these people started to break up. Soldiers, mostly peasants, wished to go home for redistribution and deserted. They want to go to their villages. They don't want to remain in the army. Non-Bolshevik socialists, liberals, and supporters of autocracy condemned the Bolshevik uprising. The non-Bolshevik socialists, all were not Bolsheviks in the country, some were the non-Bolsheviks. They called socialists. Liberals and supporters of autocracy condemned, not agreed, not approved the Bolshevik uprising. Their leaders moved to South Russia and organized troops. The leaders of this opposition, non-Bolshevik liberals and the autocratic, they moved to the South Russia and organized troops. They organized groups to fight with the Bolsheviks. These people want to fight with the Bolsheviks. This is the Red Army of the Bolsheviks. They want to fight against of these Reds. During 1918 and 1919, the Greens, that is the Socialist Revolutionaries, three groups were there in this civil war. The Reds, who were called the Bolsheviks, the Greens were called Socialist Revolutionaries, and third, the Whites, they were supporters of the Tsarist. These were the three groups. So these two groups, those who were against of the Bolsheviks, turned toward the South Russia and acquired or conquered the part. This controlled most of the Russian Empire. These people controlled the Russian Empire. They were backed by French, American, British, and Japanese troops. These people came back from the French, America, British, and Japanese, those who were involved in the First World War. From that troops, these people returned. All those forces who were worried at the growth of the socialism in Russia, as these troops and the Bolsheviks fought a civil war, looting, banditry, and famine became common. These all again and again fighting, and cause of this fight, the looting was there again and again. लूट, जाळपोळ, मारामारी हे नेहमीच झालं होतं रशियामध्ये. The both troops or all these three groups were involved in the civil war. The supporters of private property among whites took harsh steps with peasants who had seized land. The people, though, who were supporting to the to the Bolsheviks, the supporter of private property. It means they were against of the Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks were against of the private property, and these peoples were supporters of the private property. So they were against of the Bolsheviks. So they were whites. These fights taken very harsh, very strict, very harmful steps against of the peasants who had seized land. Such actions lead to the loss of popular support for the non-Bolsheviks. So these actions which taken against of the peasants were lead the loss of popular support for the non-Bolshevik. So non-Bolshevikला support होता, तो non-Bolshevikचा support या ठिकाणी कमी झाला because these people were taking harsh actions. The non-Bolsheviks were taking harsh actions with these peasants. That is why they lost the belief, the trust from it. By January 1920, the Bolshevik controlled most of the former Russian Empire. By January 1920, the Bolsheviks controlled most of the former Russian Empire, which was taken or which was controlled by the Greens and Whites. It is retaken by the Bolsheviks by the end of 1920. Why they got the success, how they get this success to return in their position, succeeded due to cooperation with non-Russian nationalities and Muslim Zadidist cooperation. The Bolsheviks got success because they got support from the non-Russian nationalities, where Russian nations were not there, Russian nationalities were not working. From that region, these Bolsheviks got support, and from the Zadidist also. Because of the non-Russian nationalities and Muslim Zadidist support, the Bolsheviks came written in a force or in a power. They didn't get the cooperation. The Bolsheviks didn't get cooperation from which country, from which region. They did not work, the cooperation did not work where Russian colonists themselves turned Bolsheviks. Where Russian colonies were there and they turned as a Bolsheviks in that region, they did not get support. Why? They did not get support from this area because in Khiva, in central Russia, Bolshevik colonists brutally massacred local nationalists in the name of defending socialism. From this region, where the colonies were there, in that region, the Bolsheviks massacred, killed on a large scale. In this situation, many were confused about what the Bolshevik government represented. When people suffered, when they observed, that time people got questioned, what is the aim of this Bolshevik? What kind of socialism these Bolshevik are going to bring? But afterward, Bolshevik tried to gain their support. How? Partially to remedy this. The Bolsheviks want to remedy on it. How they tried to remedy, how they tried to solve the problem. Most non-Russian nationalities were given political autonomy. Those who supported to gain the power to that political bodies, to that nationalities, Bolsheviks given political autonomy, political authority in the Soviet USSR or Soviet Union, that is called USSR. The Soviet Union was, or the USSR was, the state the Bolsheviks created from the Russian Empire in December 1922. This is the state named, or this was formed to the Russian old empire. Different states were made, and this is called the USSR or the Soviet Union. But since this was combined with unpopular policies, the policies of USSR were not accepted or popular to the all. Since this was combined with the unpopular policies that Bolshevik forced the local government to follow. Bolshevik imposed to follow the policies which taken by the USSR, like the harsh discouragement of the nomadism. The nomadism was discouraged by the Bolsheviks and it was not accepted by all. So this was the unpopular policy. Attempt to win over different nationalities were only party successful. The party won in a different nationalities. The party actions were very confused. One hand, it is saying it was the trying to bring the socialism, but other hand, it was taking actions against of the socialism. So the USSR, the attempt did not get complete success. What happened with this USSR or with the Russia in one last point we are going to see. Today we have studied the civil war in the Russia, who people involved in the civil war, what actions these people were taken, and how the Bolsheviks worked there again. In the next point, we will see making of socialist society in the Russia, how the socialism brought in the Russia again, which actions were taken there, that we will see in the next point.